Greetings, greetings, greetings. Happy Monday. Welcome to Pi Talks. I am your hostess, Arike. And if you notice, Facebook is having a problem. Why is Facebook having a problem? Okay, hold on. Having technical difficulties over here on Facebook. Trying to see what's going on. Not sure. Not sure what's going on Facebook or what's happening. Why Facebook is blocking StreamYard? I do not know. Yeah, I don't know why Facebook is being blocked right now. So it looks like I'm only on LinkedIn and YouTube. So we're just gonna roll with it. Um, but yeah, tonight, if you notice, the panel is a little um, by myself tonight. And so it was not planned for me to be by myself tonight. However, Ashley had a little fender bender, and so she's resting. And Rajani unexpectedly had to fly out and take care of some things, so she's not here as well. So therefore, I had to call and let Asia know, hey, we're not going to do the show as planned tonight, but I still want to come in and say hello. And, we're on the countdown now. We have 7 days left before I come back and head back to the United States. And I'm looking forward to that, my time coming back, um, talking to organizations and to people. I'm really excited about opportunity to go home and see my dad, some of my children, my grandchildren, and we are going to turn Daddy's backyard into the community restoration specialist, she said, and area. So I will film that. We're gonna, do it all, um, do it yourself type of products, and yeah, we have a lot of wonderful things coming down the pike. September the 12th. We have our International Day and our Welcome to Massachusetts Day that we're working on. We have the project with the house being worked on, and all of those 70 years worth of documentation of Black and Brown families in Merrimack Valley, from weddings to baptisms to quinceañeras, to the Black excellence that was in Merrimack Valley at one time, and how well we actually had a lot of things going on in the valley for the children and the adults. And somehow or another, that all just went away. Really, with my age group, like, we didn't keep up with what our parents had provided for us, which was, you know, um, group activities. Adults were always involved in something. They kept us, in the NAACP junior chapters. Like, we were always doing something. Um, the Black families of color, took holidays together, and so every summer we were caravanning, to the Blue Ridge Mountains, or, somewhere. We had, family picnics. We had Salem Willows, Black Family Day. We had so many things to keep us connected. And they were big, and our parents made them big for us. And then I don't know what happened, but my generation, we stopped doing the things that our parents did. And then you have another generation after that, my son's generation, that a lot of them don't have their children. It's our community has a lot of healing that needs to be done, in performative healing and healing in circles that were not really created for us to heal, really needs to be looked at. The reason why I left corporate America and took this venture to come back to my community to help the young women, to show them, how did I make it out? How did I make it out of so much trauma? From such a young age, I have been dealing with trauma. And how do I continue to have the resiliency to bounce back and to keep my right mind and to still have that desire to want to help somebody else? And, it is from all of that, in those years, in walking this walk, just being in community and being a part of the community, that has really led me to now writing and creating, my own organization for healing for women of color. The girls that I had ran into all those years, a lot of them were coming straight out of a transitional home. They turned 18 out of that house, and off to the streets. Most of them have come out of those programs that are getting funded, that are in our community, um, in communities of color, but the people that are doing the services are not us, or the materials that they have really are not geared towards the healing that we need. And so I know for fact, not only because of my life, but because of the numerous lives that I've been able to walk alongside and see them change and transform, is that when we come together, what we need is not written in their books. There's surface level things. I don't want to disregard the everything, but I just, a woman who has been through it all and so much, and the only healing path that I know is my spiritual path, my spiritual connection. And no matter how I've gone and where I've gone to try to develop that, or to try to sit and understand this, that my mission, my purpose with young women has never changed. Since I was 18 years old, I've been doing this since I was 18 years old, without asking permission and without needing to go, because I've sat, and I do have my certifications in trauma informed, and all the necessary things. I've gone, I've sat, I've taken the classes. I have worked at jobs as the manager in organizations where I'm looking at what they're giving as curriculum, and it's paper thin, and it's really not what we need. And that's why I stepped aside and said, you know what, let me go back and show them how I did it. I don't know about all this other stuff, but I know how I have done it. And then when I left in 2009 my career to embark upon this, I had no idea of I had no idea of the things I would have to endure to be able to write this book. To be able to come back now and say, you know what, I'm not saying that this is the only answer, but what I am saying, it is a proven answer. And I didn't come to just create another nonprofit. I'm not here to try to make a name for myself. I'm not here because I want people to know my name and I want people to know, or to be named. It's not about that. It is really about looking into my community and seeing the disruption, seeing the pain, and seeing a cycle, because I'm old enough now to see the cycles and to see another generation coming and another generation dealing with the same stuff that I was dealing with as a young Black girl in the projections of, who we were in the music industry and on the big screen. But at least when I was growing up, we still had people in the community trying to tell us, hey, this is not really, this ain't really how you do it. Like, this is what being a Black woman is. We had the Claire Huxtables and the Diana Carrolls. We had the Diana Rosses. We had, you know, those that showed us another side of what it means to be a woman of color, a woman of grace, a woman of eloquence. And now it seems that everything that is shown still to this day, but they've removed all of that eloquence. And we have more of the culture of just wrong. It's just not right. Entertainment is entertainment, but when our children can no longer understand that this is entertainment and not for you to emulate, it is not for you to try to go and be what you see on stage, because that is not how that person actually lives their life. That is a part of their performance. That is a part of who their persona is doing their job. It is not for you, a young woman, to think that this is the standard. But how can our young women understand that when you have women who are in their 30s that have not really come into understanding the essence and the beauty of what it means to be a melanated woman? And so Pi fills that gap. Pi is coming back to say, listen, we're going back to our culture, our true culture, where we learn by oral tradition and we learn by stories being passed down. And the way those stories were passed down, it guided us in moral compass. It guided us to understand and take pride in who we are. And so that's what Pi is about: restoration. It's about remembering so we can reconnect, so we can be restored. It is about healing. And I know that in the secular, in the Western realm, they don't like to say or talk about healing, but this is what Pi is. This is what Pi brings. It's an ecosystem, not just of lectures, not just of workshops, but what is it that we truly need to be able to move forward in our community? And the number one thing that we need, brown and Black people, is a time to heal. Something we've never been given. Just, hey, woosah for a second, and let's let y'all reset your nervous system. Let us let you handle your community without us trying to tell you how to handle your community, because guess what? We don't know how to handle your community because we never really considered your community to be worthy of being healed. And this isn't to say that this is individual people, but I'm here to say that this is the government and the systems that we are up against. And so when you look at funding, and when you look at how funding is divvied up amongst nonprofits in the community, Black led nonprofits are not even getting a fraction, not even a fraction of what is being given back through philanthropy. It's not, we're not even getting a fraction back. But yet there are all these organizations that are getting all this money to train people empathy, to train people about culture, in equity, in inclusion, in all these things, and trying to train people how to come into the community and work with somebody who has been traumatized, thinking that that's where their trauma starts. But our trauma goes deeper, so much deeper. And that's the root. And that's what we have to get back to if we are going to reclaim our children and our youth, and to bring them back into a place where they can see themselves as royal, where they can see themselves as more than being used for their body sexually, being more than being used for their body for sports. Because you notice the only place in America that you don't have to worry about them trying to roll back what people of color are doing is sports. The Olympics. You'll never see them try to roll back people of color from the Olympics. You'll never see them try to roll back people of color from the NBA or the NFL. Hollywood, we know that they're not paid what everybody else is being paid, but they're still making the millions. And you won't see them roll them back. Why? Because these are the people that they use to help keep us entertained. It's not individual people, it's a system that we are up against. Have you seen the latest video with Sha'Carri Richardson? And they have her starting way back here, and everybody else is paces and paces ahead of her. And they fire the gun, and everybody is, way ahead of her. And here she comes from the back, just flying, and passes them all. That is so realistic as to what we have to do, with the exception is that we don't hardly get the gold medal at the end in real life. We can outrun, out educate, but we don't get the gold medal at the end in real life on down here. And so how do we heal a people that have been so divided amongst themselves that all they do is argue and fight? How do you go into a predominantly Black area where these girls and these young boys are just everything that comes on the music videos and stuff, like that's who they are and that's who they believe that they are? How do you come up against that? We have so many Black women dying at the hands of their partners. Now we have them killing each other, this younger generation, going to parties and leaving each other. letting each other go off in cars with other people drunk. I'm not here to complain. I'm here just to say, let's think about it seriously. It is time for an organization like PI. And I'm not the only one out there, but I sure am fighting for us to be able to come out and say, listen, we have what it takes to heal our community. It is time for you to move out the way and allow us to come in and heal and restore and bring the medicine, because the medicine that you give us is not good medicine. And a matter of fact, many of the things that you see nowadays, all of these retreats and all of these, now you can become a spiritual this and a spiritual that. And I sit back and I just look and I say, they mock my culture. They mock my culture. Many go to Africa, to the Caribbean, and they learn about herbs and healing and all the things that are in our culture. But they tell us, don't look back. Don't you look back. But yet every other nationality is running back and learning and they're coming back, and now everybody's a herbalist. Now everybody's an herbalist. Now everybody knows this and everybody knows that, how to use the plants and the earth. And now it's coming forth that being outside, is actually very good for us, and not being in the building from 9 to 5, or not having our children in a building from 9 to 5. All those hours of being away from the elements. It's not good for us. But I say, if you allow us to be who we are and return to our culture, and our indigenous brothers and sisters to return to their culture, and our native brothers and sisters to return to their culture, our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, in Africa, if we return to our culture, if we reconnect, we find these very things. We find the very pathways to our health, to our restoration, to our freedom. And that is something that cannot be given to us out of a textbook that was not written by us, for us, or even had us in mind. Real healing means we have to be restored to our rightful tribe, to our rightful culture, to our rightful people. There's a love behind what I do that cannot come out of a textbook. There's something in my DNA. You understand? There's such a deep love for my people, for my community. Such a deep, deep in my bones, in my DNA, that I know that when I sit with my sisters and my brothers and we begin to drum, we begin to hum. There's power in that, when we learn to come together and dance, when we learn to come together and move in the spirit of what's in our DNA and just allow that to lead us, it begins to free us in a way, baby. And that freedom has a power that comes with it that makes you stand up and understand who you are. And you cannot get that from a textbook. You cannot teach that. You cannot teach that. That is something that comes with the connection. It comes with a deep spiritual connection that lies within our DNA, regardless of what you want to call it. And that is something that cannot be taught by a textbook. We're not talking about services and casework and caseloads. We're not talking about that. I am talking about the heart and the soul and the spirit of my people, that have endured for generation after generation. How does it affect us? It affects us. It is still affecting us. Seeing my father not being able to just be at peace because he has never been able to heal. He'll be 89 next week. Never was he given the opportunity to just heal because of what he had to endure in America. Never was he given the opportunity to endure after he went to war and was getting beat in the barracks by the fellow Marines because he was in one of the first integrated corps. He never got to heal from coming home and not being honored and not getting his children to get free college. He didn't get no recognition. There was nothing for him but to be still called out his name. Then his job, first Black man to work for this county, and how they treated him and tried to take his life. And you wonder how it still affects us? The things that we've had to endure, the fact that I wasn't able to have that father that some of my friends got, because my father has PTSD, because my father has been through so much. He's rigid and hard, loves us, but don't know how to really show it because he's been through so much. So we're here for those people in his age category that went through the riots, in the lynching. 4,000 people were lynched after slavery was supposedly over with Jim Crow. 4,000 lynchings. All the people that are in prison that shouldn't be, that died there. These are our elders' peoples. And they ask, tell us, just get over it. No, how can you come and try to heal somebody that has gone through generations and generations and generations of trauma? My father is Emmett Till. I'm Rodney King. My sons were Trayvon. My grandson here for uh, the one they put his knee on the neck, George Floyd. When do we get the opportunity to heal, not playing the game, not you giving us stuff and saying, here, heal through our methods and through our ways and through our lens, when this country has never even apologized. This country has turned around and just declared, out of the three that absolutely said no, that slavery was one of the most horrific things that has happened. For a country that is now turning around and saying, get rid of everything that African Americans have done and bury it again, this is the same system that you really believe that if we go through and educate ourselves in, is going to be able to bring back to my community what my community really truly needs. And that is what has been stolen from us. And that is our true culture, because hip hop is not our true culture. Hip hop is what we created from what you gave us. Just like our real diet was not chitterlings and ham hocks and all that other soul food. But because we are who we are, and our ancestors who were they were, they took the scraps and they made delicious food out of it. But that doesn't mean just because you like chitterlings and you like fat back and all that stuff, doesn't mean that that was our original diet. So pie is not a regular nonprofit. Pie is not just another, hey, I'm here to get a check type of situation. Pie is here because pie represents the love, the true love that my community needs to repair itself, to remember, to purify, to reconnect, to remember who they are, to remember who we are. Because we are beautiful, we are powerful, and we have the capability. We have all that we need, and we don't need permission. And that's another thing Pi is here to show you. We never needed permission to go back into our own community and do what we know needs to be done. Because if we don't stop it now, I've been saying this for 3 decades, but I'm never been more, I cannot explain it any more now, that if we do not stop and stop waiting for permission, stop trying to use their tools, and come back and sit down and get back to our right position, remembering who we are, the beauty of who we are. You are beautiful, you are loved, you are more than your body. To think about, you have this world have women of color injecting themselves to make their backsides bigger. Since when did we need to do that? And who started that? Think about that. Who started, and how did all that even get into our community? And what is going to be the result of that when they're in their 60s? What is going to be the result of all that stuff that they're putting in their bodies? And why? Why? Who told you that you needed to do those things to be beautiful? hurting ourselves. And everything that we see is a reflection of toxicity. I was watching the Cosby Show, not the Cosby Show, a different world. And all I can say, it is a different world from where I come from. I'm thinking about when I was younger, this is the type of shows we had on TV where they were put a disclaimer out and said, hey, listen, the topic that we're getting ready to talk about tonight is really touchy. And if you have underage children, you either need to have them not watch this episode, or you need to watch it with them and explain to them what's going on in the episode. And then they start the episode. It was the episode with Whitley deciding to lose her virginity. Now, she's not in high school. She's in college. She'd been with the man for a long time. And you hear, she wasn't just with him and decided to give it up. They had been dating for such a long time that everybody else assumed that they were having intimacy, but they really weren't. And so that those lessons that were in there, and I think to myself, wow, we used to have so much you know, morals in everything that we did, that they would put a disclaimer on about them getting ready to talk about subjects about molestation or losing your virginity or domestic violence. And now I think we turn on the TV, disclaimer, nothing. It's just full on sexuality. You don't even have to go to the movies or watch a rated R movie no more. And you look at the children are younger now on the big screen having sex. I forget, On My Block. I watched that. All they doing is having sex. These are high school kids. It's a different world than what I come from. I'm old enough to remember the difference in our community. And now I guess I can understand what my father and my elders were saying to me when I was 15 and 16, and the rap music came out and it started to go from UNITY to bang, bang, bang. And I remember the elders saying wrong direction, and we didn't listen. And now look, when you remove the elders from the community, the young ones come and they follow in suit. They follow in suit. And they're just running up against the same wall. They just run up. We are not getting nowhere. We have not really progressed. And if you think we have, I tell people, go back to YouTube and watch some of those marches and some of the Black Panthers and some of the Huey P. Newtons and some of go back and look and see. It's all there. The documentaries are all there. And I could promise you, if you close your eyes and just listen, you wouldn't realize that we weren't in the same time frame. It's an illusion out there. And how do we stop the illusion so that we can actually really go in and stop the bleeding in our community, literally the bleeding? Because we're killing each other. It's not just gangs killing each other now. You got husbands killing each other, wives killing each other. What is wrong? What is going on? And why aren't we looking at this deeper? And so funding and organizations out there that have the funding and know that you have a heavily populated brown and black population need to get with organizations like mine. Move out the way, redirect that check, and let us into the community. Period. And let us into the community. We should not have to beg to come into our community. We pay taxes, we work, we contribute. If anything, if you don't want to give us any money, then the taxes that we pay, put those back into at least a black funded organizations. If you don't want to give us any money, then the money that we give, it should be slighted to be able to come back to our community. But you're taking our money. Church is taking our money. Everybody's taking our money. But nobody's pouring back into the people that are in the community. They're actually doing the work to bring healing and sustainability and real economics back into our community, for our community. I'll say this and I'll get off. I also believe the church should be another one that should be funding the local black nonprofits. Why? Because every Sunday, you are the ones that are collecting the other half of the finances in our community. Either they're all going to the church or they're going to sports and entertainment or trying to buy stuff so you can look rich. Like all these things that doesn't funnel nothing back into our community. We will fund everything and we will jump in line for everybody. And we don't notice that the ones that are doing the work in the community are burning out because we don't have the support of our community. Listen, if you're at a church and you're paying tithes every week and that church doesn't have one thing to do with anybody in the community helping, then you all need to go and say, you know what? 5% of this 10% needs to go to this organization who's really helping the kids who are on drugs in the community, that is really helping the young girls who are coming out of sex trafficking and the young boys who are coming out of sex trafficking and those that are coming, have been slighted since preschool for prison, and now they got them in juvenile hall. And you don't have no services for them. You don't have no alternatives for them. You don't have no men coming in the community and playing basketball or no programs for them, except for back to school backpacks in turkeys on the holidays. If that is the case, then why not go find a nonprofit in your community that's doing the work? And not only give them some of the daggone money, but then have your church come in and help, because guess what? So many need help. On the crisis hotlines, there's shortages in every area right now in public service. Open your eyes and see the real ministry. Open your eyes and see the needs. And start asking yourself, am I really helping? Whose side am I really on? Let's think about it. When you can look at somebody like myself that has sacrificed and built the programs to go back and actually help our children, and you can look and just walk past to go buy your Gucci, to go buy your Prada, to go do this, to go do that, and to have all these things, but then to walk up into a place of worship and give some money and walk out and think that that's it. That's the thing that God is going to look upon and be like, yes, that is them. That is so anointed, and they are so. Let them in because they've done such a great job. I love how they dress up every Sunday. Excuse me. I love how they dress up in their red bottoms, and I love how they dress up and they drive up in their Lexus and their BMWs and their and all these things. And I'm not saying that you can't have these things, but if that's all that you have, if that's all that your money is good for you to floss on other people, and meanwhile, the young lady and the young man is on the corner telling you, hey, I'm doing a fundraiser so that I can help these kids. Look at Dr. Umar. I'm trying to build a school. Had everybody came in, I don't know what's going on. I know this. It takes a whole lot more than people think to get something off the ground from scratch. And if you don't have your community behind you, it makes it so much harder and so much longer. But who's the person who is, let me turn my light on, who is really suffering though? It's the children, it's our community. It's the children, it's our community. Not saying that you can't have nice things. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is those nice things, is that all that you're doing? Is that all that you're doing? Is that all that you're doing? Is that all that life is about? Is the materialistic things? Because we got kids out here that are hurting. We have young women and young men who are hurting. We have men and women in their 30s that have no clue of what healing and true love is, and they're just out hurting each other. And they're having babies, and the babies are watching, and everybody's just hurting. Everybody's just hurting. And Pi's here to say, let's stop and let's really focus on the deep intergenerational things, and let's come together, those of us that understand what I'm saying. How can we strategically come together and create a bigger ecosystem of services to really come back and help our community? Because baby, nobody's going to care about us like we care about us. It's a different, like I said, it's in the DNA. It's in my bones. This love that I have, and this desire to get my people back to the truth of who we are. When I close, I guess I'll say this. I understand Harriet Tubman. I understand. I can only understand or feel how she feels of looking at my people and saying, if you would all would just come on over here. So many women that are still attached to corporate America, that have gifts, that have talents, but they can't help the way that they want to help because they have to follow these rules and regulations. I say I can't wait to the day that I can pay y'all. I can't wait for the day. And why can't we all work together so that we can go after the money, so that you can leave those places and that you can actually come and work for an organization like Pi, still doing exactly what you do? Why have not we come together? Why are we still in silos? Our community cannot wait any longer for us to come together and for us to realize that doing it their way is not getting us anywhere. And if we want true healing, if we want real restoration, we have to come back find ourselves and then apply our true culture. That's all I have to say for this evening. The show that was due tonight will air next week, and yeah, that's it. So I didn't really know what I was going to talk about tonight, so that's just off the cuff, off of my heart, and wasn't written. I didn't want to just not show up tonight. Um, so yeah, this was it, and check out piepurifications.com, and I look forward to coming back into the community. I look forward to partnering with those that really understand the level of healing that we need, and those that have decolonized themselves, those that are not doing performative spirituality, but those that have really taken the time to walk out your own personal purification, which means your moral fiber is on another level. It means that you don't conduct yourself the way you used to conduct yourself. You've actually gone through the process to change. You've actually let yourself see yourself, and you've gone through what you need to go through to be a clean vessel, to be an honorable vessel, and you understand true love. That's the tribe that I'm looking for, True Love's tribe, because we got work to do. We have work to do. It's beyond urgent. It was urgent. It was urgent to me, back in 1990s, 1980s, actually. And I've been saying the same thing ever since then. And now I'm just like, well, here it is. But the beautiful thing on the positive is I also see so many young women that have broken free and are doing healing and are getting back to nature and do not care what anybody has to say, not wearing any labels, and just out here doing the real work. And I love seeing it. And my thing is, when I get back, I too am ready to start doing my circles again. But I was like, you know what? I would love to do circles with older women. I have worked with young women since I was 18 years old. And when I see the what I'm talking about, the unity, the healing, the eating healthy, the all these things, it's normally the generation after me. And you can see some elder women in these retreats. There's some, but most time they're being run by younger women, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now I want to be able to, hurry up and birth this for these babies, so I can get over here and say, where are my elder men and women that understand what I'm talking about, so that we can link up. I want to link up with you and go to the ocean. I want to link up with you, my elder brothers and sisters that know what I'm talking about, and go into the forest, and do the things that we know to do. I want to link up with you and garden. I want to link up with you, and talk about getting land, and all of the wonderful things that we know that we should be doing in building those eco villages together, and rebuilding the village and doing it our way, so that when a child steps out of place, or when somebody does something, they step out of place, that they're not being sent to a prison cell that is actually going to damage them, allow people to rape them, allow people to do all these godforsaken things, allow gangs to be up in there, all this stuff. It's just modern day slavery. It is horrible. And it's not a place that we need to send our children. Our children should be able to come to the elders, because I promise you, the elders always knew how to get us right. And I'm not talking about the level of abuse that African Americans took from slavery, the whipping of our children. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about understanding who you really are and having pride in that, and not being out here cutting up because you know who you are. Hmm. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Coming back to the elders, where the elders sit you down and get you straight. And the fact that there are elders and there is a community and there is a tribe there for you. That's what Pi does. Pi is rebuilding the tribe. Pi is rebuilding the village. And that means we need everybody who's supposed to be a part of this to come together. So that's all. I said I wasn't going to talk for an hour, but I did. All right, y'all. um, yeah, that's it. I wasn't supposed to talk for an hour. I said we were doing 30 minutes, but this will happen when I come on and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to talk. So, all right, y'all. Thank you so much. Check us out again next Monday when the team will be back. And this time next week, I will be back in Massachusetts at Daddy's house. So, yeah, by this time, I will be back in Massachusetts exactly 1 week from today. And so I will start taping me and Daddy and some of the things that are going on and some of the projects that are going on. Let y'all see. I'm just not out here talking. I haven't just been out here talking. I've literally been building. I've literally been knocking on doors. And now I'm at the point where, you know, I've never felt as though I've had to ask permission. And so I'm going to do what I need to do. But what I have written and what I have developed for the community is absolutely going to be in the community. Absolutely will be in the community. Um, period. I'm not asking for permission to write the books or to put the books in the community. I'm not asking permission. We are here. We are coming. And I know we're not coming, we're here. And so I will seek though allies and those that understanding, those that have the ability to get funding over here until we can get our ecosystem running. Because trust, when you're giving something divinely, you don't have to keep your hands out. But I do believe that there's a responsibility that America has and people have to give us something back to help repair us. You broke us, give us something to repair us. And if the only way that I can get that is through grants and funding, then that's the avenue that I'm going to use. So, yes, allies that understand what I'm saying and have those doors that you can talk to people, that you can let us in, that you can contract out with me, that you can, you know, lease my curriculum, I'm here. So, all right, that's it. I promise. Have a good evening from my heart to yours. See you later.